The unthinkable has happened, and I'm still trying to process what we're all witnessing right now because Cody Rhodes, the man who finished his story, the man who ended the Bloodline's tyrannical reign, the man who became undisputed WWE champion and fulfilled his family's legacy, has apparently decided to walk away from World Wrestling Entertainment after losing to Drew McIntyre in their brutal 3 stages of hell match. And if this turns out to be true, if Cody actually leaves WWE, this will go down as one of the most shocking, controversial, and frankly infuriating decisions in modern wrestling history. I cannot believe we're even having this conversation right now, but according to multiple sources, insiders, and whispers coming from backstage, Cody Rhodes is seriously contemplating leaving the company that he fought so hard to return to, the company where he achieved his ultimate dream, and all because he couldn't handle one loss to Drew McIntyre. Let that sink in for a moment. The American Nightmare, the man who preached about perseverance, about never giving up, about fighting through adversity no matter what, is apparently ready to pack his bags and walk out the door because his ego got bruised in a match that, quite frankly, someone had to lose. Before we dive into the absolute insanity of this situation, let me take you back to last week's SmackDown where we witnessed what many are calling an instant classic: Cody Rhodes vs. Drew McIntyre in a 3 stages of hell match. These two warriors put everything on the line, they went through hell and back, literally giving us 3 different matches in one night. The first fall was a traditional wrestling match that showcased their technical abilities, their conditioning, and their desire to prove who the better wrestler was. Drew McIntyre took that first fall after hitting Cody with a devastating Claymore kick that nearly took the American Nightmare's head off. The second fall was a street fight, and this is where things got absolutely brutal. These men used every weapon they could find, steel chairs were bent beyond recognition, kendo sticks were shattered into pieces, tables were demolished, and both competitors were bleeding, exhausted, and running on pure adrenaline. Cody managed to even the score in the second fall, hitting Drew with a crossroads onto a pile of steel chairs that made everyone in the arena wince in pain. That brought us to the third and final fall, a steel cage match, the ultimate proving ground where there's nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. The cage match was an absolute war of attrition. Both men climbed the cage multiple times, both men tried to escape, both men hit their finishing moves repeatedly, and the crowd was on the edge of their seats for every single second. But in the end, Drew McIntyre proved why he's called the Scottish Warrior. He dug deep, he found that extra gear that only true champions possess, and he put Cody Rhodes away with a second Claymore kick followed by a future shock DDT that left Cody unconscious on the mat. Drew won the match 2 falls to 1, and he absolutely earned that victory. There was no controversy, no screwjob, no interference, just 2 men competing at the highest level with Drew coming out on top. The wrestling world praised both competitors for delivering an unforgettable match, fans were already clamoring for a rematch, and everyone assumed this was just the beginning of an incredible rivalry that would give us classic after classic for months to come. But then the rumors started. Whispers began circulating that Cody wasn't handling the loss well. Reports emerged that Cody was seen backstage looking dejected, frustrated, and questioning everything. And now, just days after that match, we're hearing that Cody Rhodes might actually be considering leaving WWE entirely. Are you kidding me right now? This is the same Cody Rhodes who left WWE back in 2016 because he felt underutilized and underappreciated, the same Cody Rhodes who went out and conquered the independent wrestling scene, the same Cody Rhodes who helped create All Elite Wrestling and became one of the biggest stars in the industry, the same Cody Rhodes who made the monumental decision to return to WWE in 2022 because he had unfinished business, because he wanted to win the championship that his father Dusty Rhodes never won, because he wanted to finish his story. And finish his story he did, defeating Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, becoming the undisputed WWE champion, and cementing his legacy as one of the all-time greats. So why on earth would Cody throw all of that away now? Why would he even consider walking away from WWE after one loss? Does he not understand what this makes him look like? Does he not realize that this makes him appear weak, petty, and unable to handle adversity? The Cody Rhodes we thought we knew, the Cody Rhodes who inspired millions with his journey, would never quit just because he lost a match. Champions lose sometimes, that's part of the business, that's part of sports entertainment. John Cena lost matches, The Rock lost matches, Stone Cold Steve Austin lost matches, The Undertaker lost matches, and they all came back stronger because true champions use losses as motivation to get better, not as an excuse to run away. Let's talk about what this means if Cody actually goes through with this decision. First and foremost, it would be a complete betrayal to the fans who supported him throughout his entire journey. The WWE Universe rallied behind Cody like few wrestlers in history. They chanted his name, they bought his merchandise, they traveled from all over the world to see him perform, and they emotionally invested in his story. When Cody won the championship at WrestleMania, grown men were crying in the audience, families were hugging each other, and the collective joy was palpable. That wasn't just Cody's moment, that was our moment too, because we were all part of that journey. For Cody to now turn his back on those same fans because he lost to Drew McIntyre would be unforgivable. It would taint everything he accomplished, and it would make people question whether his entire story was genuine or just a carefully crafted narrative designed to manipulate emotions. Secondly, what message does this send to the younger wrestlers in the locker room? WWE has so many talented young stars who look up to Cody Rhodes, who see him as a role model, who study his promos and his matches to try and learn from one of the best. If Cody quits after one loss, what does that teach them? That it's okay to give up when things don't go your way? That winning is the only thing that matters, and if you can't win, you should just leave? That's not the kind of example a veteran should be setting. Cody should be showing these young wrestlers how to bounce back from defeat, how to use adversity as fuel, how to reinvent yourself and come back stronger than ever. Instead, if these rumors are true, he's showing them that running away is an acceptable option, and that's dangerous. Third, and this might be the most important point, Cody leaving WWE would hand Drew McIntyre the ultimate victory. Think about it. Drew didn't just beat Cody in the ring, he broke Cody's spirit so badly that the American Nightmare decided he couldn't compete in WWE anymore. That's not just winning a match, that's psychological warfare, that's destroying your opponent so thoroughly that they have no choice but to retreat. Is that really the legacy Cody wants? Does he want to be remembered as the guy who couldn't handle losing to Drew McIntyre? Because that's exactly what will happen if he walks away now. Every time someone talks about Cody Rhodes in the future, they'll mention how he left WWE after Drew beat him, and that stain will never wash off. Now, let's consider the possibility that this is all a work, that WWE is playing us and this is just part of a larger storyline. In today's wrestling landscape, the lines between reality and kayfabe are blurred more than ever. Social media has given wrestlers the ability to work fans in ways that were never possible before, and WWE has become increasingly sophisticated in how they use real-life events to create compelling television. Could Cody's potential departure be a storyline designed to build sympathy for him, to make fans desperately want him to stay, and to eventually lead to some kind of dramatic return or redemption arc? It's possible. WWE has done similar things in the past, and Cody himself is a student of the game who understands the power of working the audience. But here's the thing, even if this is a work, even if Cody has no real intention of leaving WWE and this is all just to generate buzz and interest, it's still a dangerous game to play. Wrestling fans are smart, probably too smart for their own good sometimes, and they don't appreciate being manipulated or lied to. If WWE and Cody are fabricating this entire situation just to get a reaction, and it eventually comes out that it was all fake, fans are going to feel betrayed and they're going to be angry. There's a fine line between working the audience and insulting their intelligence, and this situation is dangerously close to crossing that line. On the other hand, what if this is completely real? What if Cody Rhodes genuinely is so devastated by his loss to Drew McIntyre that he's questioning his future in WWE? If that's the case, then we need to have a serious conversation about Cody's mental state and whether he's equipped to handle the pressures of being a top star in the biggest wrestling company in the world. Professional wrestling is a brutal business, both physically and mentally. The schedule is relentless, the pressure to perform is constant, and the scrutiny from fans and media is intense. Not everyone can handle it, and there's no shame in admitting when it becomes too much. But if one loss is enough to make Cody want to quit, then maybe he's not cut out for this business anymore. Let's also examine Drew McIntyre's role in all of this because Drew has been absolutely on fire lately. The Scottish Warrior has reinvented himself multiple times throughout his WWE career, and right now, he might be having the best run of his entire life. Drew is cutting the best promos of his career, he's having incredible matches with everyone he steps in the ring with, and he's positioned as one of the most credible threats on the entire roster. Drew beat Cody clean in the middle of the ring, no shenanigans, no outside interference, just pure talent and determination. If Cody can't accept that Drew was simply better than him that night, that's a Cody problem, not a Drew problem. Drew McIntyre deserves all the credit in the world for his performance in the 3 Stages of Hell match, and he deserves to enjoy his victory without it being overshadowed by Cody's alleged departure. This should be Drew's moment to shine, his moment to bask in the glory of defeating one of WWE's top stars in a match that will be remembered for years. Instead, all anyone wants to talk about is whether Cody is leaving WWE, and that's not fair to Drew. The man worked his butt off, he put his body on the line, and he earned a clean victory over a former world champion. Let him have his moment. There's also the business side of this equation to consider. Cody Rhodes is one of WWE's biggest merchandise sellers, one of their most marketable stars, and someone they've invested heavily in over the past few years. WWE brought Cody back with a lot of fanfare, they built storylines around him, they gave him the WrestleMania main event, and they put their top championship on him. If Cody walks away now, that's a massive financial loss for WWE, not to mention a huge blow to their creative plans. WWE has already started promoting upcoming shows and events with Cody featured prominently, and if he's not going to be there, they're going to have to scramble to restructure everything. But beyond the financial implications, there's also the question of precedent. If WWE allows Cody Rhodes to just walk away whenever he feels like it because he's unhappy about a booking decision or a match result, what's to stop other wrestlers from doing the same thing? What happens when the next big star loses a match they didn't want to lose and decides they want to leave? Does WWE just let everyone come and go as they please? That's not how you run a successful business, and that's not how you maintain order in a locker room. There have to be contracts, there have to be commitments, and there have to be consequences for breaking those commitments. Speaking of contracts, we need to address the legal aspect of this situation. Cody Rhodes is under contract with WWE, and unless there's some kind of special clause in his deal that allows him to leave whenever he wants, he's legally obligated to fulfill the terms of that contract. WWE could very easily take legal action if Cody tries to breach his contract, and that could get messy very quickly. We've seen contract disputes in wrestling before, and they rarely end well for anyone involved. The wrestler ends up sitting at home not being able to work anywhere, the company ends up looking petty and vindictive, and the fans end up losing because they don't get to see the performer they love. Nobody wins in that scenario. Let's shift gears for a moment and talk about what Cody's options would be if he actually does leave WWE. Where would he go? Back to AEW? That seems unlikely given how Cody's departure from AEW went down, and there would probably be a lot of awkwardness and tension if he tried to return there. Plus, Cody made such a big deal about leaving AEW to go back to WWE and finish his story, it would look incredibly hypocritical for him to go crawling back to Tony Khan now. Would Cody try to go to Japan and work for New Japan Pro Wrestling? That's a possibility, and Cody has worked in Japan before and has good relationships there, but would Japanese fans embrace him the same way American fans have? Would he be happy working a completely different style of wrestling in a completely different culture? Maybe Cody decides to step away from wrestling entirely and pursue other opportunities. He's expressed interest in acting, he's appeared in a few television shows and movies, and he certainly has the charisma and screen presence to potentially make it in Hollywood. But the entertainment industry is notoriously difficult to break into, and there are no guarantees that Cody would find success there. He'd be giving up a guaranteed high-paying job where he's one of the top stars for a shot at maybe landing some small roles in movies or TV shows. That seems like a massive risk, especially when he's still in his prime as a wrestler. Another possibility is that Cody takes some time off to heal his body and clear his mind, and then eventually returns to WWE once he's in a better mental space. This would actually be the smartest option if Cody is genuinely struggling right now. Taking a sabbatical to recharge and refocus isn't a sign of weakness, it's a sign of wisdom and self-awareness. Plenty of wrestlers have taken time off and come back better than ever. Daniel Bryan did it, Edge did it, and even John Cena has stepped away periodically to pursue other projects before returning to WWE. If Cody needs a break, he should take a break, but he should do it the right way by communicating with WWE, working out a plan, and not burning any bridges in the process. What makes this entire situation so frustrating is that Cody Rhodes has been given every opportunity to succeed in WWE. He was welcomed back with open arms, he was immediately pushed to the main event level, he was given high-profile feuds with Roman Reigns and now Drew McIntyre, and he was trusted with the top championship in the company. Not every wrestler gets that kind of treatment, and Cody should be grateful for the position he's in rather than complaining about one loss. There are dozens of incredibly talented wrestlers in WWE who would kill for half the opportunities that Cody has been given, and for him to potentially throw it all away is a slap in the face to those wrestlers who are grinding every day hoping for their big break. The wrestling business is also about respect and professionalism, and if Cody Rhodes walks out on WWE, he's showing a complete lack of both. When you sign a contract, you're making a commitment, and real professionals honor their commitments even when things get difficult. Cody has always presented himself as someone who respects the wrestling business, someone who understands its history and traditions, but walking out because you lost a match goes against everything the business stands for. Wrestlers have been losing matches for over 100 years, and somehow they all manage to stick around and keep working. What makes Cody so special that he gets to quit whenever he feels like it? Let's also consider the fans who have tickets to upcoming WWE shows expecting to see Cody Rhodes. People have already purchased tickets months in advance, they've made travel arrangements, they've taken time off work, all with the expectation that they're going to see their favorite wrestlers perform. If Cody doesn't show up because he decided to quit, those fans have every right to be angry. They paid good money for those tickets based on advertised talent, and WWE would potentially have to offer refunds or deal with a massive public relations nightmare. The locker room dynamic is another factor that can't be ignored. How do Cody's fellow wrestlers feel about this? Are they supportive of his decision, or do they think he's being selfish and unprofessional? Wrestling locker rooms have always operated with a certain code of conduct, and one of the unwritten rules is that you don't quit on your teammates. Wrestling is a collaborative art form, and when one person decides to leave suddenly, it affects everyone. Storylines have to be rewritten, matches have to be changed, and other wrestlers have to pick up the slack. If Cody walks out, he's creating problems for everyone else, and that's not going to endear him to his colleagues. There's also the historical context to consider here. In the history of professional wrestling, very few top stars have walked away from major companies in their prime over creative disputes or match outcomes. Sure, wrestlers have left for better money, for health reasons, or because their contracts expired, but walking out because you lost a match, That's virtually unheard of at the main event level. If Cody does this, he would be setting a precedent that could have long-lasting negative effects on the entire wrestling industry. Other wrestlers might think it's acceptable to walk out when they're unhappy, and that would create chaos for every wrestling promotion in the world. We also need to talk about Cody's family legacy, which he has always said means everything to him. Dusty Rhodes, Cody's father, was one of the toughest, most resilient wrestlers in history. The American Dream faced countless setbacks, political BS, and unfair treatment throughout his career, but he never quit. Dusty kept fighting, kept reinventing himself, and kept pushing forward no matter what obstacles were in his way. That's the legacy Cody claims to honor, but how does walking out of WWE after one loss honor that legacy? Dusty would be disappointed if his son gave up so easily, and I think deep down, Cody knows that. Let me throw out another possibility that people might not have considered. What if this isn't really about the loss to Drew McIntyre at all? What if Cody has other issues with WWE that we don't know about? Maybe there are creative disagreements behind the scenes, maybe there are personal conflicts with management, maybe Cody feels like he's not being paid what he's worth, or maybe he's dealing with a personal issue in his life that has nothing to do with wrestling. It's possible that the loss to Drew was just the final straw in a series of frustrations that have been building up over time. If that's the case, then maybe we're all jumping to conclusions by assuming this is purely about ego and not being able to handle losing. However, even if there are other factors at play, the timing of this is still terrible. Cody just had one of the biggest matches of the year. WWE is in the middle of planning their road to WrestleMania, and the company needs stability and consistency from their top stars. If Cody has legitimate grievances, he should address them through proper channels, sit down with management, and work through the issues like an adult. Walking out in the middle of a hot angle is never the answer, and it only creates more problems than it solves. The impact on Cody's personal brand also cannot be understated. Cody has spent years carefully crafting his image as the ultimate professional, the guy who does everything the right way, the wrestler who respects the business and treats it with reverence. If he walks out on WWE now, all of that goes out the window. His brand would be irreparably damaged, sponsors would think twice about working with him, and future business opportunities could dry up. Companies want to work with reliable people who honor their commitments, not people who quit when things get tough. Cody needs to think very carefully about the long-term consequences of this decision if he's seriously considering it. What's particularly maddening about this entire situation is the lack of communication from Cody himself. He hasn't released a statement, he hasn't done an interview, he hasn't addressed the rumors in any way. The wrestling world is in chaos right now, wondering what's going on, and Cody is just letting the speculation run wild. If he has no intention of leaving WWE, he should say so and put this to rest immediately. If he is considering leaving, he owes the fans an explanation. This silence is only making things worse and fueling more rumors and conspiracy theories. At the end of the day, Cody Rhodes needs to make a decision, and he needs to make it soon. Either he's committed to WWE and he's going to honor his contract and continue being one of the top stars in the company, or he's not and he's going to walk away. But this middle ground where nobody knows what's happening is not sustainable. WWE can't plan around uncertainty, fans can't emotionally invest in someone who might not be there next week, and the rest of the roster can't do their jobs effectively when there's this much chaos and confusion. If I could speak directly to Cody right now, here's what I would say. Cody, you're better than this. You've overcome so much in your career, you've proven yourself time and time again, and you've achieved things that most wrestlers can only dream of. One loss to Drew McIntyre doesn't define you, and it doesn't erase everything you've accomplished. The easy thing to do would be to walk away, to quit, to take your ball and go home. But the right thing to do, the courageous thing to do, is to get back up, dust yourself off, and prove why you're the American nightmare. Show Drew McIntyre that beating you once doesn't mean he owns you. Show the WWE Universe that their faith in you wasn't misplaced. Show your father's legacy the respect it deserves by fighting through adversity instead of running from it. You're better than this, Cody. Don't let one night define your legacy. Make sure you subscribe to WWE Frenzy Live because we're going to continue following this story every step of the way. We'll bring you updates as soon as they happen, we'll give you analysis and commentary you won't find anywhere else, and we'll be here to break down whatever happens next. Hit that subscribe button, smash that notification bell, and join the conversation in the comments below. What do you think about Cody potentially leaving WWE? Is it justified or is he being a sore loser? Let us know your thoughts, and we'll see you in the next video. This is WWE Frenzy Live, and remember, we're always here bringing you the latest and greatest in professional wrestling.